Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes? The microphone is working? Oh, good. I hear it now. Good morning to you. My name is Marshall Jones, and I am a professor of educational technology and the senior director for learning technologies and graduate studies at Winthrop University. Today I want to speak to you about open educational resources. But before I do that, I thought whenever I address a large group like this, I often wonder, how do you see me? I know how I see myself. I thought I did. I know how I see myself, but you might see me a little differently. I will say, after having flown for 27 hours, this is how I see myself sometimes. And I promise, if any of you fall asleep during my talk, I will just assume you too are jet lagged. I would like for you to see me as a teacher, a learner, a researcher, an innovator, and a colleague. That I am somebody that is anxious to work with you on the work the very important work that you are doing. A little background on me. I have a doctorate from the University of Georgia. That's the state, not the country. I have worked in education in a variety of different places, in higher education, in K-12 education, in government, in business. I've also done a lot of international work. That's actually me in the blue shirt. I was working in the Philippines, and we've been fortunate to have international students at Winthrop University as well. Many of you have met my wife, Mary O'Grady Jones, who is here. We have one daughter. She's in the middle. She is studying chemistry at St. John's University in New York City. And we are adventurous travelers. We were kayaking the canals of Venice. So coming to Bangladesh is a great honor to be in your country as well. I bring you greetings from Winthrop University, which is located in Rock Hill, South Carolina. We are just across the border from Charlotte, North Carolina on the East Coast. But I came here today to talk to you about open educational resources and how we're going to build the future of teaching and learning. I've been doing a lot of thinking about the future. There's an interesting book by Nick Montfort that talks about different attempts to define the future and to predict the future. But Alan Kay once said, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. And Alan Kay should know. In the 1960s, Alan Kay had an idea that you could build a device where people could work with it, learn from it, and be entertained by it. Alan Kay was talking about the laptop and the tablet. And over the course of his career, Alan Kay invented the laptop and the tablet. So that is your job today, not to invent the laptop. Your job is to invent the future. And so let's talk about how to do that. If you have studied with me, you know that I always say, we use technology to solve a problem. We don't use technology because students like it, because it's fun. Technology has its own problems. It's expensive. It breaks. So if we use the technology, what we do must be better with the technology than without the technology. Let me give you an example. If we're teaching students to graph paper, rulers, markers, works just fine. But if we're teaching students the complex relationship between numbers and how to represent numbers in a variety of ways, a spreadsheet is a superior tool. Using the spreadsheet it is better with the spreadsheet than without the spreadsheet. Another thing, that teaching is more than talking. That we want our students to be very actively engaged. We want our students to be working on real problems in the classroom, because if teaching is more than talking, learning is more than listening. It's very important for students to be actively engaged in the learning process so that they can share what they know with other people. Which brings me to the idea of the power of 5 examples. I had a professor who said to me that if you have 5 different unique examples of a complicated idea, any student can learn. But the problem is, most teachers don't have 5 examples. They have 1. And if students don't understand it, we just say it again, but louder and slower. Which brings me to open educational resources. At last, I'm talking about open educational resources. Many of you may use some of these tools in teaching now. You may use this as a place to find examples for your students. When we talk about open educational resources, open means that they are available, usually on the internet, but sometimes in other places, that they are free to use with conditions for use. They are educational. They have been created to advance knowledge, and they're resources. So unlike a MOOC, this is not a complete course. These are small pieces that can be reused in different lessons. UNESCO has defined open educational resources in that they must contain the terms of use. So how can you use an open educational resource? And open educational resources have been adopted around the world. In Canada, the University of Athabasca Press has made all of their research public and free. So has the University of Budapest, and universities in the United States, MIT, Harvard, Yale, among others, have many of their resources available for free on the internet. Typically, when you see an open educational resource, you will see one of these. This is the term of use. This defines what you can do with the open educational resource. So this is a description of all of them. I promise you, I will not read it. But if you look at it from this perspective, you have the most free at the top, which means you can do pretty much whatever you want to with it. If the open educational resource has that top license, you can edit it, you can translate it, you can add to it, you can share it any way that you like, as long as you say where it came from the first time, as long as you give credit to the person who created it the first time. Okay? The least restrictive, or the most restrictive at the bottom, means that you can't do anything but share it. And then there are levels between as to what you can do with this open educational resource. So when you see the one that at the very top, that is the license that gives you the most freedom to work with that resource. So what can you do with an open educational resource? You can reuse it. You can share it with other people. This is not a violation of copyright law or trademark, so you can share it with whomever you would like. You can revise it, so you can edit it to meet the needs of your students and your classrooms. You can remix it to combine it with other works, and then you can redistribute it. So you can post it to your website, print it out, share it in whatever way best meets your needs. So why is this important to you? Why are open educational resources important to you? Because it's your job to build the future. Before I came here, I was doing some research on internet access in some of the countries in the GIST Foundation. And so this is some of the countries from Asia that are in the GIST Foundation, or partners for the GIST Foundation. And I find this data interesting because if you look at our host country of Bangladesh, in the year 2000, there were approximately 100,000 internet users. 17 years later, there are over 80 million internet users. And much of that growth has occurred in the last 5 years, largely due to access to mobile phones and mobile technology. So while less than half of the country population has access to the internet, I see that as a very good thing. Because if you want to work with open educational resources, you have time to plan. You have time to create the best plan for using them for your country. The same is true for other countries that are listed here as well. If you don't see your country listed here, I recommend the Internet World Stats website as a place where you can research that. I would like to say that I am on Facebook, and it seems to me that there are more than 28 million users from Facebook in Bangladesh, because I think there are more than 28 million in my Facebook feed. That was a joke. So here are 3 important ideas for open educational resources. One is to locate them. So to find them on the internet so that you can use them. Once you find them, then you can modify them for your needs. The other is to create, so that you can make your own audio, video, or text. And open educational resources can be in a variety of media. They might be video, they might be audio, they might be text-based. I'm a big fan of text-based open educational resources, and I will tell you why in a moment. And then finally, to share. Most likely online, but if that doesn't work for your environment, you can share them in a variety of ways as well. How many of you are familiar with OpenStax? Has anybody ever seen OpenStax? One person has seen OpenStax. OpenStax is interesting. It is out of Rice University.
I'm here. You can use this topics. You are not moving.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
OpenStax is a project out of Rice University. College textbooks in the United States are ridiculously expensive. Trust me, I know. I'm a college professor. And textbooks in the sciences are incredibly expensive. Trust me, I know. My daughter is getting a master's in chemistry. One textbook can cost $300. That's a lot of money. OpenStax has created a series of free college-level textbooks in general education subjects. Subjects like chemistry, economics, trigonometry, calculus, and they're available for free. You can go to the OpenStax website and you can download them now. You don't have to register. You don't have to create an account. You can just download a textbook. If you are an educator, you can create an account and you can register with OpenStax. And when you do, you will get access to not only the textbook, but PowerPoint presentations for every chapter. You will get access to sample test banks and answers to the questions. You will get an enormous amount of materials to support that textbook. And it is absolutely free to use. But what I want you to notice is that OpenStax has the least restrictive Creative Commons license. With an OpenStax textbook, you could take any chapter from any book and edit it for your classes. You can translate it into your language. You can edit the PowerPoints. All you have to do is when you use them in class, is say they are from OpenStax. That's a very powerful idea. And it comes with a very significant price tag. Universities that have adopted OpenStax textbooks have saved their students $145 million in textbook costs last year. Their goal is for more universities to use these textbooks, and so that their goal is to save $500,000 in textbook costs in 1 year. OpenStax has another component. It's OpenStax Connection. And in OpenStax Connections, you can build your own open educational resources. They have modules and models and templates so that you download the template, you create your instruction, and you post it to OpenStax Connections. You will find in OpenStax Connections materials to support OpenStax textbooks, but also lesson plans and other ideas. You can search those by a number of categories, but one of them is languages. And for this audience, I find that very interesting. Here are the languages that are currently available in OpenStax Connections. If you don't see your language represented there, it's not because it cannot be done, it's because nobody has done it. And that's where you come in. The other nice thing about OpenStax Connections is that there is an Android app available. So if you live in a country where many people access the internet through a mobile device, this is an excellent tool for you. At the beginning of my talk, I said that you had a job. What was that job? Right, to build the future. And one way to build the future is to build open educational resources. It's not very hard to create digital materials. You have free tools to develop audio. I promise you, I won't try and teach you how to use those here today. There are free tools to create video. Your Macintosh computer or your PC computer comes preloaded with video software. It's very easy to create video. Use your mobile phone and you can create video. But I'm a big fan of text. And one reason I'm a fan of text is because text is the ultimate self-paced material. If you need to reread it, you can reread it. If you need to make notes, you can make notes. And one of my favorite ways to create text is with voice typing by Google Docs. Have any of you used voice typing? A few of you? Can we see a video, please? This is Marshall Jones at Winthrop University, and I'd like to show you how to use voice typing in Google Docs. Under the Tools menu, drag down to Voice Typing. This microphone floats. You can move it where you'd like. Click on it, and the microphone becomes active and begins to translate your voice into text, period. You do have to speak punctuation marks, like, period. That's sort of an awkward sentence, but I think you understand what I mean, exclamation point. Do you have any questions? Question mark. One of the things I like about Google Docs, is that it does not pick up if you say, a lot. It tends to skip over those voice mannerisms that we might typically use, period. I'm going to turn off the microphone, period, and tell you that what I like about the software is that I didn't do any voice training at all. I simply started talking and it translated my text into my voice into text. What I do is I will have a document open in Google Docs and I'll have a student's name and then I will speak my feedback to them. I'll copy it from Google Docs and paste it into a discussion forum in Blackboard. And that is saving me an enormous amount of time in feedback and grading. This is Marshall Jones at Winthrop University, Thanks for watching, period. Thank you. That technique is called screencasting, and you can do that for free using screencast-o-matic.com. My YouTube channel has many videos like that. Feel free to visit my YouTube channel and see videos that I use in my classes. There are also videos of me playing guitar and singing, which aren't nearly as enjoyable as Google Docs. But back to Google Docs. If you teach, chances are you are a very good speaker because you are used to hearing questions from students and responding to those questions. You can talk much faster than you can type, or I can talk faster than I type. And here's another thing where I think that you will find interesting. These are the current languages that are supported by Google Voice Typing. To make this easy for you, I've tried to highlight some of the languages that are spoken in the GIST Foundation. So it is available in Bengali. It is available in Urdu. It is available in Spanish. It is, and do we have any English teachers in the room? Yes. Have your students voice type in English. You can check their pronunciation. So, if you can create all of this text, what's something you can do with it? You can publish your own textbooks. There is a website called pressbooks.com, and Pressbooks will allow you to publish an online textbook. You can publish it for free. If you do, then the Pressbooks logo appears on your pages. For $20 US, the logo goes away. For $100 US, the logo goes away, and you can download it as an e-reader format in a variety of different e-reader formats. So it's a very inexpensive way to publish your work. I'm going to see if I can show you an example. Do I have internet on this computer? Maybe not. I may not show you an example. Trust me, there is an example. There is an example, but my presentation appears to be stuck. Okay. In traditional publishing, authors create, editors ensure quality, publishers distribute. Publishers typically make money off of the work of authors and editors. In open educational resources, authors still create, editors still ensure quality, but we don't use publishers anymore. Trust me when I tell you, textbook publishers around the world are very concerned about this. And they should be. When my students must pay $150 for a small textbook, they should be very worried about this. So, if it's your job to build the future, I would like for you to imagine something for just one moment. Sort of think creatively here. What if the GIST Foundation created a series of publications? What if each country or region had a set of editors who would ensure quality? What if the authors of those books created not just content about mathematics or history? What if you shared your teaching ideas, your lesson plans, your strategies? What if the GIST Foundation were to be able to support cooperative translations so that a book that's created in Bangladesh could be used by people in Sri Lanka, could be used by people in Ukraine? Imagine if all of the power in this room, all of the intelligence in this room is put to work on sharing all of the good ideas that you have, sharing them as open educational resources that are available for free, that have a massive impact and worldwide reach, so that people around the world would not only know what the GIST Foundation is doing, but would have access to the good work that you're doing as well. It's an idea I would like for you to think about, to consider, and to build upon. Because the best way to predict the future is to invent it. I'm Marshall Jones from Winthrop University. Thank you very much.